What is going on, Elite Seekers in the building? I am joined by Jordan. I'm joined by Brandon. Hey, we're just here to shoot the shit with you guys and really figure out what's been going on with NFL training camp. So all this is non-rehearsed instant reactions for you. So feel free to join us in the comments. We had a lot of fun the other night. Brandon afterwards was like, when are we doing the next one? Like, let's get it going. Because we had, 30 people on here roughly, and the comments were awesome. Questions coming in, always great. So thank you so much if you are joining us. But man, JB, you were just getting done with a softball game last time, and the bar was more important than the friends. But I get it. I
never said that. No, we were celebrating the championship, so
chip goals.
Mr. Modest over here. Okay, I like it, man.
He just slow flexed that.
He just slid that one in there. I like
slowly,
it.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it, man. Yeah. So lots of craziness. I think we're gonna just go ahead and jump right into it because why not? I'm dealing with smoke, so I might be a little loopy out here. Anyway, we got crazy forest fires, like the true apocalypse out here. Yeah, it's wild. It's been a wild one, but I am ready to get things going. So let's start off with a JB bomb. You heard of the Woj bombs? You might have seen them at the NBA draft parties, but JB bringing us a JB bomb. So what do you got?
Well, more of a Mike Garofalo bomb, but the 49ers are signing tight end Jordan Matthews.
Tight end Jordan. I feel like I've heard that name before, but not as a tight end.
Nope, he converted wide receiver. Obviously, formerly with the Eagles, and might have bounced around a couple other places, but apparently he bulked up, and now he's a tight end.
Yeah,
bulked up.
That's crazy. What did they say what his weight's up to now? Because I've seen some of I believe he worked out with the 49ers 2 weeks ago, maybe. Right around there. We saw some reports where Jordan Matthews was working out and he had bulked up. But I don't have the exact weight in front of me, so I'm definitely curious.
I mean, regardless, are we even thinking about him fantasy-wise? Is this really just – I mean, come on now. Let's be honest. He's going to be the third wide receiver. He's going to be see, I already still think of him as a wide receiver. He's going to be the third tight end behind Ross Dwelley. He's behind George Kittle.
You know what though? That's a good question. I think it's more of a valid question than you might think. For me, anyway, I've really been kind of changing up my strategies. I definitely am all about going to get one of those like top 3 elite tight ends, soon to be top 4. With Kyle Pitts, if we're talking about dynasty, and hey, maybe he blows the doors off in year 1 as well for redraft. But I really, really like going after these project tight ends. And is it super successful? No, it's not. But I long ago was able to snatch up Darren Waller as a project tight end, and I'm holding on to that one. There's some interesting ones out there. So Jordan Matthews, you transition some of these guys to tight end with their speed. They're like, not that great speed as far as wide receiver goes. But if they're able to hold some of that weight, the hands are going to be solid, not great, solid for him, right? And route running is going to be better than a traditional tight end. So you're looking at a guy that's probably not going to be brought onto a team to block. So if he earns a roster spot, it becomes real interesting. We're hearing guys like Hakeem Butler the last couple of years. He's been bouncing around some rosters. Philly has been looking at him. Tyree Jackson, right? We know what Logan Thomas did as a quarterback convert. So what are you guys feeling? Are you guys like, screw these projects, I'm going to wait until they're the real deal? Or are these like interesting bench stashes for you in maybe tight end premium leagues?
You can go first, Brandon.
I'm just not touching this one.
It's
just not an offense that is going to be conducive to him. Like I think it goes back to what we were talking about the other night, right? It's Jordan Matthews is in a James Robinson situation. He's going to need Kittle to go down and Ross Dwelley to go down for him to be relevant. And on top of that, you still have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, whatever comes out of that back.
Jalen Hurd.
He's a nice story. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice story to see him come back and play in the NFL, but I just don't for fantasy wise, I don't think I could put him on my roster right now unless I'm playing like 50-man rosters.
That's fair.
The Niners must like him because he was with them previously as a receiver twice, actually. So they must like him, but I'm with Brandon. I'm not touching this guy. I mean, he's already 29, and they're now calling him a project tight end. Like, no, I'm not touching him.
No, that's valid. You're starting to see this trend, though, right? Like, I think we're seeing more guys get tested out. Let's not talk about Tebow. I don't feel like getting into that whole show today. But, like, look at G. Scott Jr., another example, at Ohio State. Are we seeing a trend where potentially there is some sort of way we can try to predict what some of these guys that are converting might look like? JB, I think I'm pitching this one to you, being an analytics guy. That might be something we should try to look into a little bit. Because I think obviously the more that it starts to happen, you're probably going to have some more success happen as well, right? Like we've seen, again, we mentioned Darren Waller, that's a one-off, but then Logan Thomas happens, another one-off. So how many are actually out there trying and failing? How many are out there and maybe becoming somewhat relevant, but or just, completely not even worth looking at compared to, other guys at the very end of your drafts or off the waivers in this situation?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember but a while back, early June, I did that little bit of a project looking at height for receivers.
Yep.
And it kind of centralized around 6'1" to 6'3". So if you got a guy like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", or bigger potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of convert him over to a tight end. That might be a better fit just because of the size. I mean, you talked about it yesterday with positionless basketball.
Yeah.
It's kind of going to that way in football. I mean, just give playmakers in space. If they're athletes, give them the ball, they'll figure it out. I mean, we were talking about taking shots on project tight ends, and they're not necessarily project guys, but I'd rather have like an Albert O than this. Like, I want to see what
100%
he can do there. I know he's behind Fant, but he's an athletic freak. I'd rather have someone like that I can stick on my taxi squad instead of waste a bench spot.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly what JB was saying. It's kind of like I think guys like G. Scott, guys like that are going to transition into the tight end position are going to be like stretch fours and stretch fives, right? In the NBA, right? There's only a handful of them that are really, really good. And then there's just going to be a bunch of them that are going to probably flame out. And I think you're going to start to see guys that are 6'6", 6'4" to 6'6", that are 230 to 245, that are just too slow outside but can run right up the seam, have decent hands, can run up the seam. And you're starting to see guys like Evan Ingram, guys that are just, they're not great blockers, but they're in there the pass catch, and they're going to be valuable. And I think we're going to start to see that slight shift at the tight end position because teams are going to want to match up their 6'7", 6'8", 230, 4'4", to 4'6", 40 guy who could just straight up go right up the seam, and he'll just throw it up top and just say, go get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to happen. I mean, you're going to see it. Whether or not they're successful and relevant, that's a whole fantasy relevant. That's a whole nother conversation, but it's a wrinkle that can be utilized.
Yeah. No, that's definitely fair. And a guy like Jordan Matthews, if he even gets to the point where he has any chance to see some targets, I mean, you're still talking about a bunch of wide receivers there that we've already mentioned. And now even reports 30 minutes ago, like they're absolutely loving Sanu there. So Sanu is another guy. Yeah, you lose Kendrick Bourne, but does Sanu step right into that where he's kind of like a thorn in your side? You can never predict it, but always seems to get those targets right when you need someone else to get those targets, right? So
Mohamed Sanu is the Devontae Booker of wide receivers. He is. Tell me, like, how many times have we seen Mohamed Sanu just pop up and like take 8 targets for no reason?
Yeah, that's it.
Devontae Booker is the same way for running backs. He was a thorn in every person who thought Philip Lindsay's the guy, Royce Freeman's the guy. Nope, here's Devontae Booker saying hello.
Yeah, that's it. Let's jump right into some injury news that came out early this morning. Definitely some big time news. So Carson Wentz having major foot injury this week, right? So that was, I believe it was yesterday. He injured his foot. today we're kind of going through testing to figure out what's going on. We've seen reports that it's not season ending at this point, is what the reports are saying. So there is talk that it's ligament and bone related. So these are all areas of major concern when whether you're a Colts fan, whether you're a fantasy football, person that has Carson Wentz on a roster. This is really, really big time news because we talked about Carson Wentz the other day, right? We talked about, hey, fresh start, great opportunity to go to a team that really wants you. Going to have a lot stronger O-line, which seemed to really, sap his confidence with Philadelphia. So it just seemed like an all-around great situation, great fit. I wasn't to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm back in because I had Carson Wentz on my Scott Fishbowl team, and I'm scoring now. I couldn't get around to it, but I do feel like it was a great situation for him, and it still may be. But now, if this is an injury that you're talking about 10 to 12 to 14 weeks or longer, what does that do for the Colts? This is a team that expects to contend and have a shot to go far in the playoffs. So what happens now with this receiving core? Obviously a great offensive line, Jonathan Taylor really coming into his own, and now what? Brandon, what do you think, man?
Fade. I gotta fade that whole offense. I mean, you're gonna ask Jacob Eason more than likely to run your squad, which he can do. He probably can do, and he probably can manage. If you're saying 4 weeks of the season, then if we're saying 4 weeks of the season or 5 weeks of the season, I'm fine. I'm fine with rolling the dice. But if we're talking Carson Wentz is gone half the season, I don't know that you could confidently draft Jonathan Taylor in the first round of redraft. And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, the offensive line, and he'll get the volume." I personally, that's you're looking at like a Todd Gurley 2017 and hoping that best case scenario, he's able to just completely shed people left and right because they're going to stack the box and force Jacob Eason to throw the football. Now, again, Jacob Eason's not a hideous quarterback. I mean, it's probably better than sorry, JB, but it's better than Sam Ehlinger being in there. Like, I've seen a lot of potential. I mean, we were having a conversation when we first heard the news this morning. Is this an opportunity for Nick Foles? Is this an opportunity for Jimmy Garoppolo? Is this an opportunity for name quarterback that has been has been usurped by a rookie?
Gardner Minshew.
I saw that one too. Like, figure out, like, is this the opportunity for one of them to come in, right the ship, and provide 5-6 weeks? I mean, once I'm done talking, I'm going to go look for the Colts schedule. And I mean, they got to start quick because, Tennessee's did not get any worse. Mm-hmm. So if you fall behind them too fast, you're out of the division race.
Yeah. And
the AFC is pretty loaded this year. So you got to start kind of quick.
JB, what do you think? What do you think about the current guys? We got Jacob Eason, massive arm coming into year 2, right? Got to sit behind Phillip Rivers, learned quite a bit. Like, the reports were good last year as a backup, what he's learning, how he's progressing, picking up things. But accuracy was an issue for him at University of Washington. He was at Georgia, then University of Washington. So Eason definitely has a huge arm built to throw down the field to a guy like T.Y., to a guy like Pittman, right? So if that accuracy was there, I could see that really helping out because they have a good offensive line, because they have a run game they can lean on, as well as I think this, we said fade everybody, but could this bump a guy like Hines, right, in the backfield, where Hines is that guy who really can make himself available as an outlet for a quarterback. But then you bring in a guy like Sam Ehlinger, and he brings a totally different skill set to the team. So JB, is Sam a guy that they could look to, whether not be week 1, maybe it's Eason because he's more familiar at this point, but maybe Eason goes out there and struggles big time, right? And they weren't able to pick up someone. Now their options are go get someone at that point, or does Sam even have a chance to be on the roster as the backup to start?
I watched Ellinger long enough at Texas, and I love the guy, but he's not an NFL quarterback. So we can just eliminate him right there.
Perfect. Yep.
So obviously they let Jacoby Brissett walk this offseason, so they must like Eason to some degree. They must trust him. Hey, you can be our backup. We don't need to keep Brissett here. So they must like him.
Great point.
I don't know. Obviously Eason was a high prospect, moved around a little bit, never really made as much noise as people hoped in college, but
Yep.
I don't know. The line is awesome. The defense is awesome. They're going to be in every game just because of the defense. And going to their schedule, they start with Seattle at home, LA Rams at home, Titans on the road, Dolphins on the road, week 5 at Baltimore, week 6 at home against Houston. So
yeah, I'm looking at their schedule.
First 2 games are rough. Like Seattle, they're not the Seattle of old, but
Hey.
First 5 are tough.
Yeah.
I was I don't know. I don't think maybe I need to do a little more looking into it, but I don't trust Tennessee's defense.
I mean, those are going to be shootouts, but they're always divisional events. They're always divisional games.
It's division. And then obviously Miami, no pushover. Baltimore, ouch. Houston, Houston. Who knows what it's going to be at that point, like if Watson's playing, but
and then you have San Francisco and Tennessee as games 7 and 8.
I didn't even look out that far. So yeah, the first 2 months, not fun. I don't know how that conditional pick all works. I know how the one they traded works, but I don't know if they're able to trade their first or second now, or do they have to hold on to both or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, is Jacksonville going to trade them Minshew in interdivision, like to help a division rival out? I don't know about that. Who are some of the other guys you said?
Another one that I think could be interesting, and maybe not because they go out and pay them a little bit, but Drew, like, hear me out. We talked about this the other night. Drew Lock is doing well so far, right?
Yeah.
Long way to go. They're both going to have a shot in the preseason, him and Teddy. But let's say Drew comes out. He's got his boy Sutton back, right? He's got all these weapons. He feels the heat. He steps up to the competition and somehow wins that job and looks great in the preseason, right? So as the Colts, they go out, they roll with Eason for now, and you know, especially if Wentz isn't out for the whole year. Now do they go look at a guy like Bridgewater? We know what Bridgewater has been able to do for other teams, right? Like go back to his time with the Saints. Drew Brees goes down, goes 5-0, right? I believe it was 5-0. So do they go after someone like that doesn't cost the world? Or, hey, maybe they go back to a Jacoby because they're like, yeah, we love Eason long term, saves us some money, but this isn't good, so we're going to have to go and get the guy that's more ready right now. You might be able to get him on the low because I don't even know the contract details of Brissett, but potentially he can get him through a few games or half a season with that defense we spoke about, with the familiarity with the offense, with a healthy wide receiver core, bringing back a guy like Paris Campbell. Lots of great reports on Kylan Granson at tight end. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting.
Comments are killing me tonight. Mike's killing me. He's killing me, but he's right. 75% of the so Wentz needs to play 75% of the snaps for the second to convey to a first, or he has to play 70% of the snaps and they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that one probably is more likely. Both are pretty hard. And yes, Nick Foles. I mean, I would think it could be Nick Foles or Andy Dalton, one of the two. Just get rid of one of them so Justin Fields can start, so we can stop this. So Matt Nagy can stop thinking that Andy Dalton's going to actually be a viable option in Chicago.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they have, 3 quarterbacks with Fields?
What's that?
They have 3 quarterbacks with Fields?
Yeah. With Fields, yeah, 3. And they're paying like $14 million to Foles. They're playing 5 or 10 to Dalton. So
if they can get anything for any of them, the Bears would be dumb not to do something.
This is screaming Sam Bradford Vikings vibes. Like somebody go out there and throw out your backup quarterback for a third round pick. It's screaming.
I feel like this is Minshew. I really do. It's crazy. I know.
Throw him Tebow. You know what? Throw him Tebow.
Man, but honestly though, like Minshew is fired up. You love it. He brings a lot of just competitiveness to the team. Is he a world beater? No, not at all. But he's gonna come in there. He's gonna be confident. He reminds me of a young Fitzpatrick. Like he's a YOLO type, like no care. He's gonna compete his butt off. The team's gonna love him. They're gonna want to be around him. So hey, as a guy that wants to compete, man, find out what Minshew is going to
time out.
Yeah.
So if Minshew gets traded, who's T-Law's backup?
Maybe Eason's involved. Depends.
No.
Don't say Tebow. Stop.
I'm just saying.
Get out of here.
I'm just saying. If T-Law goes down and Minshew's traded, what stops Herbs?
I'm tweeting this right now. Hot take from BGC. T-Law's new backup is Tebow. Urban Meyer was way ahead of this. He was like, as soon as
he was already 2 steps ahead.
They're never going to let me sign Tebow as a quarterback. So I'm going to bring him in as a tight end and just make it look like I have no other options. Yo.
I don't think that's it.
I don't think it's it, but you know darn well if Gardner Minshew's gone and Trevor Lawrence.
This is not what Elite Seekers means, Brandon.
We're finding the deep dives. We're finding the diamonds in the rough.
If that happens, bro, oh my gosh. Yeah, not happening. He ain't ready. He ain't about that life.
I got one thing on Minshew. So
yes,
in our database, I went through and calculated everyone's career fantasy points per game. And I dropped this probably a month or two back when Ray was doing a live stream talking about these kind of backup QBs that could find a home elsewhere. I know it's a smaller sample size, and I know they've been behind, so he's just chucking the ball. But out of, calculate this real quick, of 260 quarterbacks, oh no, that's too many. Probably about 200 quarterbacks. He's tied for 15th overall in career points per game. And that's going back to the 2004 draft class. So he's not terrible. He's not bad. I mean, I don't know. He's gonna find a home somewhere else, and maybe Indy's it.
I'm just saying that if you bring in a guy like that has that gunslinger mentality, right? He comes from an air raid offense, Mike Leach air raid offense, right? That's what kind of helped him get noticed. You bring that guy in, you find a way to kind of hone in, bring him back down a little bit. Hey, man, we're going to need you to manage to start out. Manage us some games. Let's manage weeks 1 through 4. You're going to be learning the playbook late. Let's try to bring it in. Let's rely on JT. Let's rely on hopefully a healthy Marlon Mack, right? We got Wilkins. So we got a stable of running backs. We got Hines catching balls out of the backfield. And we have a veteran like T.Y., a veteran target that should be able to get open. He's going to get less targets. We know that. You got Michael Pittman on the rise. You got Paris Campbell, another guy that can get open in the short area, right, and in the middle of the field. Now you add in an intriguing Kylan Granson, potentially is a guy that we see early on as a rookie, which you don't typically see as a tight end. But he was brought in not to block. He's brought in to get open. He's very, very athletic. And you kind of treat him like Baker. Who were we talking about the other day where it's the same type of situation? Like you treat the same situation. It's like Baker Mayfield gets a new coaching staff. They dumb it down. They're like, manage these games. Everybody who loved Baker was like a top dynasty super flex asset. Yes, Drew Lock.
That's what we're talking about.
They bring it back. And, they have that gunslinger mentality, which is a good thing to have. But if you just skip everything and you forget the foundational stuff and you just turn the ball over, you don't take care of the ball, you're going to have a lot of problems. And Baker had those problems. Drew Lock had those problems. I'm hoping Drew Lock can do the same thing. Gardner Minshew, man, could be a heck of a game manager that just slowly improves as the season goes on. I don't know.
You can get him like free right now, too. He's QB 41 on rankings on DLF. He's basically free.
Yeah.
Eason's QB 46, so he's even more free.
And even if this isn't the spot for Minshew, like Minshew is probably going to find somewhere to start again. Okay. What's another guy we mentioned? It's kind of crazy. It's probably too early in the process. Mitchell Trubisky. I probably would be more interested in him a year down the road after he sits for a year behind a Josh Allen and then be interested as one of these backups with potential, right? I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a thing at all. Now, if I heard Wentz was for sure going to be out for the year, but I think Jimmy G probably makes way too much. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Jimmy
he's
G,
paid way too much.
there's no way
It's
that
like,
the Colts are going to be able to bring that
I
contract.
think it's like 15 million. And here's the thing with Wentz. Wentz only really has he's really only guaranteed money through 2022. After 22, he's really not. He's not there. And yeah, I was actually thinking that if Minshew came in and played well,
it's an open
Wentz could be Wally pipped again. And
what
see
do you guys? When you guys, JB, can you pull up some of those contract details for Wentz as well? I'm curious on how invested they really are with Wentz at this point in the game because it was a trade, right? So, what's the remainder on that contract there?
4 years. He's 4 years. Next year, he has 27 million to the dead cap. After that, see you later. Bye. He can be
one
cut.
More year.
He's got one more. He's got one more year after this year. So 21 and 22 are his 2 years where you really just can't move him from. I mean, you could move him for a bunch of dead money. I mean, 27 million. We saw 3 contracts this year get eaten for over 30. So 27 million plus the salary cap is going to zoom up with the new television contract, which I think is going to be a huge curveball that I don't think many people are really kind of taking into consideration with a lot of this stuff. But yeah, Minshew's a 6th round pick, so he's not going to call it. He's going to be pennies on the dollar when you're talking about. And I think that's why Minshew's probably going to be, in my opinion, the most coveted backup quarterback to be traded up for. Mitch is probably number 2 because he's not making anything. But guys like Jimmy G, guys like Dalton, guys like even Nick Foles, they're making 5, 10, 15 million this year. You're not going to want to bring on somebody. You're not going to want to pay 15 million. Like they're not going to want to bring in $15 million and pay a 3rd round pick for it.
And I think, I mean, this is something you can argue, but I think Minshew has a lot higher upside than those guys. I think those guys could come in and be good game managers, which fits with what the Colts would probably be trying to do. They tried to get through and figure out when Wentz is going to be back. You see Michael here saying, I'm thinking Wentz just plays through it. No preseason, plenty of time to rest it, just a guess. Unless something new came out since the show started. From what I'm reading into, I feel like it's going to be a lot longer, and this is going to drag into the regular season.
If I didn't see the word ligament, I would be 100% on
bone and ligament.
Bone bruises suck, but you can kind of you can deal with it.
Did they say? Have they officially said what type of injury?
There
was no specifics. So,
and that's the thing.
Like bone, is it a break? Is there a hairline fracture? Is there a dislocation? Is
this going to be a Joe Mixon? Is this going to be a Joe Mixon 2.0? Are we going to have the same thing where we're not really sure what it is until later on, where it's like, he probably should have had surgery back in July when it first was reported. And that's why, and because he's already had a major knee injury, that's why I worry about this stuff. Yes, even with 6 weeks until week 1.
The wording
because of his injury history.
The wording, that's a concern too. But the wording I saw was that it's not season ending at this point. So that to me screams
a big way of saying we don't know.
We're talking about a major injury, right? Looking at the timeline, I don't even know. I honestly have no idea what type of injury. So I don't want to speculate too much. I'm just assuming. I don't even think there's video yet of where it was injured or any details, right? So I don't even think we're at the point where we can sort of really truly be able to guess. We're just kind of hypothesizing what would happen if it is a 10-week or more injury type situation. So I don't want to dive too much more unless you guys got any more on Wentz or potential replacement.
We've spent more on the last 2 of these streams on Wentz than anybody else.
It's big news, though. It really is.
It's big because it has a lot of fantasy impact. There's a lot of people who love Jonathan Taylor this year. There's a lot of people who are up on Michael Pittman right now. And so there's a lot of people who are going to be sweating that.
Yeah, big time. So I want to jump over to another interesting one, and this might not jump off as as big as the Wentz situation, but this one is really a team that we thought was going to come in and massively improve this year, and they still could. But this is looking a little tough to start off with training camp here. And this is the Miami Dolphins. Their wide receiver core is absolutely just going through it right now. So you have Devontae Parker starting out on the PUP. Then we have Will Fuller dealing with injury issues. You have Jalen Waddle. All of a sudden, they're saying he hasn't even been walking right. He has the ankle tweak going up for a catch the other day. This is getting a little worrisome for, especially if you're a Tua truther and you really believe Tua is now fully healthy for the first time coming into his first full offseason with all these new weapons. And boom, who's he going to throw to? Is it going to be Lynn Bowden? Is Mike Gesicki finally going to have a true breakout? Are these receivers going to be okay by week 1? Or are you a little concerned? JB, what's your initial thoughts just on hearing that Parker, Fuller, and Waddle are all dealing with some injuries that are lower body related?
Yeah, I don't like this. I mean, I was one of the guys banging the drum for Tua. I drafted him a bunch this offseason. This isn't good. I mean, this was supposed to be the breakout year with all the weapons and everything. Yeah. I'm still kind of a Preston Williams truther, so we'll see about that. But
yes,
Gesicki's obviously
also coming off of injury. Preston Williams,
yeah, he's injured 2 years out of his 2 years in the league. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know. If I had to draft tomorrow, I'm probably staying away from that entire offense. I know Brandon used to Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, Preston is a guy that the other day just tweeted, and this is, one of those cryptic tweets, could mean anything, but he tweets the emoji with the zipper mouth shut, right? Yeah. Going, all this stuff's happening, and that's his tweet. That's his response. You're telling me there's not something going on there? So I was fully expecting to see a cut or a trade or something with Preston Williams when I saw that pop up. Another interesting name that I really liked coming out of college, and then he didn't make the cut with the Raiders. Essentially, they ended up trading him for very cheap, is Lynn Bowden Jr. He, again, today had another good practice. I believe scored a touchdown as well. But he was already interesting. He had finished the year strong for Miami and was able to get open in short area space. He's kind of played every position across the board, right, coming from college. So true Wildcat type player, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, like wherever you need. And then you mentioned Gaskin. That is a guy I have been loading up on. I got to see him at the University of Washington and broke all the records there. And I think we talked about Gaskin maybe on the last show, even a little bit.
I think we did.
Not. But now you're talking about, and call me crazy, but you're talking about an Austin Eckler type potential workload if we're dealing with injuries throughout the season. He is that type of guy who can catch passes like crazy. He's apparently in way better shape even than last year, and he looked good last year. It was more about him getting ready for a bigger workload, and I think they feel okay with his backups where, they bring in a guy like Malcolm Brown. They have Savon Ahmed as well, who was his backup at University of Washington. You bring in Jared Dokes. So they got guys where they can load it up for Gaskin and give him a shot if he seems ready body-wise. So does this create a lot more opportunity if we're dealing with injuries for Gaskin, or does it hurt him because, they're more focused on the run? I feel like because of his receiving chops, he can kind of get open wherever he needs to be and get the ball wherever. But I'm getting Austin Eckler vibes big time from Myles Gaskin.
Yeah. I mean, I like him. I like him in a 1-year spot. I have him on the Scott Fishbowl team that I have. I also have Tua. So that'll be an interesting one. I just got him again in another best ball draft, round 5, I think. I agree. I think he has some Austin Eckler vibes. I think he's a little bit better runner than Austin Eckler. So
between the tackles, for sure.
I think he's like a discount. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Might get flamed a little bit here, but he's kind of like a discount Christian McCaffrey. Yo, what up, Ray? I think he's a discount. I think he's a discount CMC. And here's, I know.
Let's go.
But think about the offense and think about the way he's utilized in the offense. He's given a heavy run load, and he has the pass catching ability to beat that. I'm not saying he's Christian McCaffrey. He's not going to go out and put 20 points up on your fantasy squads every week, but he's going to be a consistent double-digit point scorer. And yes, he's going to cede some touches to Malcolm Brown. He's going to cede some touches to Jared Dokes. He's going to cede touches to Salvon Ahmed. That offense probably is going to be a lot of short and intermediate routes if Jalen Waddle's just not able to to stretch the field the way they want. One guy to definitely watch is Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller has a huge year. He's going to be out week 1, so a lot of people are kind of just sleeping on him, but we've all seen Tua throwing those bombs to Jakeem Grant. Imagine what those are going to be like when Will Fuller is running up underneath them. Like, the offense is going to be – it's going to look different. It's going to take some time. I think the guys we want to be there, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, may not be there in redraft for me. They might be just straight let somebody else take those. But Will Fuller, I got a lot of them. I got a lot of them in a lot of places. I think they're going to do well. I think Tua's going to be fine. I don't think we've got to get past the Tua's going to be way up here. But, hey, if he can put in Baker numbers –
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like that's where I'm seeing Tua. Like that's how I'm kind of valuing Tua. Like Tua can be like that QB 14, 18 kind of range. I think that's a great ceiling for him to be in.
Yeah. No, that's an amazing call out. I think all of these guys now at this point are going to be big time buys, right? You have to go out and check what's going on. Even if you're in Dynasty, you better be knocking on, whoever's door has had Jalen Waddle roster, because even if he's dealing with this ankle injury right now, this is a guy that you're going to want on your team come 1 year from now, for sure, regardless of what we get this year. You hope that he gets healthy. You hope Miami does the right thing. I think having a guy like Fuller on the squad as well, hopefully Preston Williams gets a little healthier. You love what you're hearing about Lynn Bowden Jr. Maybe that buys Waddle the time and makes sure that Miami goes, we're going to slow play this. We know what we did with Tua. We understood we had to wait. We had, go with Fitz first, kind of work him in that way. So I think we might see the same situation with Waddle. I love the call out of, even if you're getting a 70% of a CMC out of Gaskin, which skill set wise, like you are talking about a rare guy that's going to be a little bit smaller, but has extreme balance and is able to run through the tackles for his size, and then can step out and just catch the ball and make huge plays across the board. So I love Gaskin. It feels like Eckler to me because of how much we disrespected Eckler. How long did we keep saying Eckler? It's going to be this year. That's it. After that, I'm done with it. It's going to be this year. We did that for a few years, and now we're like, okay, Eckler is a guy you need to get in the first couple rounds of your redraft leagues, like no doubt in my mind. So, hey, maybe Gaskin is that guy that just continues to eat up what everybody is saying out there and continues to get better. His skills are crazy. I think that we're looking at a potential 1,800 total yards a year out of Gaskin with 10 plus touchdowns. It could just be a huge year between his receiving and his rushing. So big numbers, but when you're hearing about what's going on with these receivers as well, I think that definitely plays into him being a bigger part of the total scheme. JB, you on board with that, or am I talking crazy?
I think JB's got one too that we're all sleeping on.
Get it.
Yeah, just for Gaskins right now, I truthfully haven't really paid close attention to him. He's in my head, he's the guy in Miami for this year. If I need a running back, cool, I'll take him, but he wasn't anything special. You guys have brought up some pretty good points. I really didn't realize how utilized he was in the passing game. Looks like about 41 receptions last year for also about 4.1 a game. I don't know. That's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. It's a discount. You're not paying first and second round price. And we always talk about.
No, I think a lot of people are in the mindset of me as well, where, it's just a running back. But I don't know. He could really be a big sleeper this year. I'm just on player profile right now, and best comparable to Ronald Jones. And if he's kind of that kind of athlete, getting all the touches, majority of the touches out of the backfield from Miami, he could be a steal. Would you say you get him in the 5th?
Yeah, I think, and here's the thing is we always talk about who, the last few years have always been who's the 4th or 5th round wide receiver that enters the top 5 space, right? Yeah. We always try to find that Godwin or that Calvin Ridley or that, next guy that's coming up. Well, this is kind of one of those situations, right? Where he could easily be 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th, 8th round. And you might get 2nd or 3rd round value.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys have brought up a lot of good points and really made me look into him more.
And I just want to quickly go over his college stats, right? Because I think University of Washington gets forgotten a lot. Like, they haven't had a great team, right, over the years. They They were one of the worst teams going back 10 years. And, I think people forget how good Gaskin was. We're talking about the all-time record holder there. So freshman year comes in 227 carries, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns as a true freshman. Then he goes 237 carries, 1,373 yards for another 10 touchdowns, 222 carries, 1,380 yards for average of 6.2 yards a carry, 21 touchdowns as a junior. Then he adds on that same year, 19 receptions, 232 yards receiving, another 3 touchdowns. And then his senior year finishes it off with his most carries, 259 carries for 1,268 yards in a quote-unquote down year for him. So, obviously looking at about 21 catches a year, 20-ish catches a year for him in college. So it wasn't a big part of their scheme. So coming in, you see those 41 receptions for the Dolphins. That's big time, but it shows the consistency he had for handling a large amount of carries at the University of Washington. And you look at the guy, yes, he's short, but his legs are huge. And that is, he's very thick and he has great balance. So I definitely think you're going to see a lot of him. And I'm not concerned at all about Malcolm Brown, Ray. I do think it feels a lot like a Jordan Howard situation. Great guy to bring in if you need a couple short yards or whatnot, but Myles Gaskin, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but did very well in the red zone last year as well. So if one of you guys want to pull that up, I think that will really surprise people too if you're thinking of Myles Gaskin as a small running back.
I mean, I'm worried about Malcolm Brown week 1, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's what he always does, right? Week 1, he always comes out, drops like 5 carries, 45 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Everybody comes in. He's got Eddie Royalitis, right?
Yeah.
Comes out week 1. Everybody goes and throws all their fob at him, and then he just goes and fades into oblivion. But I think you're right. I think he's going to have some touches. He's going to eat some carries. But, I mean, Gaskin's not going to be back there 100% of the time.
It's going to be to give Gaskin a breather, I believe, more than anything. I think Daniel brings up Savon Ahmed, who was at the University of Washington, was a backup to Gaskin. They work out together. They both work out at Ford Sports in Seattle still together to this day with guys like DK and Sherman and Bobby Wagner and all those guys. So great workout program. Savon Ahmed is a guy that I would definitely want if Myles Gaskin went down. But outside of that, I think you're just going to see a few touches here and there. He is a solid running back, but I think Gaskin brings a lot more to the table.
Gaskin had 42 red zone touches last year, 13th in the league.
There you go.
So
13th for
4 points.
A small running back. So I'm not too worried about
4.2 per game.
Yeah. And look, there you go, Ray. Ray's on it. Finished in the top 15 all time for collegiate rushers. So we're talking about a guy that I think is just getting severely disrespected. Hey, take him for 1 year because he's going to earn a role either with Miami or with someone else next year. I just think he's going to win this job and continue to allow Miami to focus draft picks on other positions and not have to bring in free agents, barring an injury, which, we can never predict. What you got?
I think he summed it up saying best that he earned it. Because, I mean, I knew about him in college, but I kind of faded him after getting drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like you said, he's earned the touches in Miami and to be the bell cow this year.
Yeah. No,
one more thing. One guy we missed when we were talking about 2 of his pass catchers was Hunter Long. Obviously, they spent 3rd-round draft capital on him. They could be running a lot of 12 personnel to start the year, especially if some of those guys are hurt, kind of limit their receivers, only run 2 of them out there at a time. But look out for him early.
Yeah. And that's only going to help the running game as well, right? So you're going to see, it just allows Gaskin to have more space and have more guys out there to block. Because Hunter Long is an underrated blocker as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a good
I
offense.
really like Hunter Long. Yeah, that's
his
ADP is low, and even in tight end premium, man.
Yeah, there's just. I think Miami's one of those offenses we just kind of, after watching last year, we're just kind of like, eh. But it's one of those offenses that, when healthy, I mean, they could easily have the kind of Buffalo Bills kind of trajectory where they go from just being kind of like a middle-of-the-road offense to all of a sudden being this, force, because they have so many different ways to attack you, right? They can beat you up the seam with Gesicki and Long. They can take you out deep with Will Fuller. They can hit you with the short routes with Waddle and Jakeem Grant, and they can be bullies with Malcolm Brown and Jared Dokes, or they can beat you with speed. I mean, they really have a lot of different options, and I think the health of Tua is going to go a long way to that offense, right? And I think it's an offense that's going to be fun to watch because Brian Flores is a good coach. That's the other thing is Brian Flores is a good coach. He's not just some guy.
Yep. Let's jump into an offense that potentially could be very ugly this year. We're hoping it's not, but it's not off to the hottest of starts. So this is coming from beat writer Pat Leonard. It's too early, but Kenny Golladay has not stood out. The whole Giants offense has been subpar. Jason Garrett's post-practice meeting on the field with the O told the story. This isn't good enough. Golladay and the whole offense need to pick it up. So this really comes back to Saquon for me, because I think if you don't have Saquon on the field, what happens to that offense? Like, that offense is in trouble. I mean, you got Tony there. We've talked about, yes, there's talent, but also he's off to a rough start it's just a weird start to his rookie offseason, right? Like skipping some workouts, having some cleat issues, being on the COVID list, just kind of, it's been a rocky start. We're early, so it could mean nothing, but are we really believing in Golladay as a move to the Giants? This felt like a weird signing for me, but what is your thoughts?
I'll let you take this, Brandon. This is your team.
Yeah.
We had this discussion the other night.
Yeah.
Y'all, I mean, I think if you watched the clip the other night, I'll say it again. Saquon is going to be the engine that determines how fast this offense can go.
Yeah.
If there is no Saquon and they are like, Daniel Jones had a brutal third practice. Daniel Jones is, if Saquon Barkley is not there, you might as well just get ready for a new quarterback, because they're not going to have patience. The Giants fan base, the front office is not going to have the patience to want to deal with a sputtering Giants offense. They're just not going to want to do it. And, we saw the signing of Alfred Morris. That should be a depth signing at anything. It's just because he knows the offense. And it just goes to show you how poor that Devontae Booker signing was at the beginning of the offseason. Paying $3 million for a guy who doesn't know the offense, has no idea what's going on. And it's just a joke. Golladay fits a need that they had since Odell Beckham was traded. He fits the alpha profile for them. It's whether or not the offense is going to have enough time to get the ball to him, right? Like, Kenny Galladay's best in jump ball situations. That's like, he's going deep and he's jump ball situation. I don't know if that's going to be, the best thing for the Giants offense. Can Jason Garrett scheme up something other than his vanilla offense to get him the ball? I don't know, but it's going to be predicated on Saquon. And if Saquon's healthy and Saquon is actively, drawing defenders in and being the force that he is, Giants are going to be fine. They're going to be a middle of the road offense in the NFL, and they'll have enough offense to win games because the defense is actually really good. That being said, if Saquon's not there and they got to go with Alf Morris, whatever scrap heap vet that has one knee left that can work, whether it's Adrian Peterson, whether it's Todd Gurley, whether it's the ghost of somebody else, like it's gonna struggle. It's just gonna look ugly back there. That's just what the Giants offense is gonna be.
And there's one name you didn't bring up that Ben brought up that I am scarred forever by, and that's Jason Garrett. I saw enough of him with the Cowboys to really, yeah, exactly. I'll fade every single one of his players outside of Saquon. That's how I feel. I've seen enough.
Yeah,
man.
That's how I feel about the Giants.
It's bad. Like, and there's nothing. Daniel Jones is not a terrible quarterback.
No,
okay?
No.
He was just taken way too early. And now he has this expectation of being the guy that has to bridge from Eli. Somebody had to be it. Daniel Jones has done it admirably. But if he doesn't do well this year, it's time to move on.
And then I know his rookie year, he put up some numbers that were comparable to Peyton Manning, Drew Brees type guys. And I really going into his year 2, I was kind of a believer despite Garrett, but he didn't do anything last year to help himself. So
No,
I gotta
Jason
see.
Garrett's not it. It's just
No.
not it.
No.
Faster, and I wouldn't be shocked if after a few weeks, if the offense, even if Saquon's there and the offense just looks hideous, I wouldn't be shocked if Jason Garrett's fired.
I wouldn't. I mean, he's the OC. He's calling everything for them. I mean, does Judge have any input on the offense really in game?
Not much.
Well, yeah,
But
I mean,
you're going to have that clamoring if the offense is still scoring less than 20 points a game.
yeah.
I just can't see, like, and it pains me because I'm a Giants fan and I love watching my team, but I also have to be realistic and understand that, like, the pieces they have, it should be a good offense. Like, Sterling Shepard is a good wide receiver. Like,
He's a solid slot receiver, absolutely.
You know, Tony, we don't really have enough data from college to know what he's excellent at. But he seems like a guy that, you put him in space and he could make people miss or he's going to run you over. And that's, you need that as a, in the NFL. And Galladay is a good a good wide receiver. So Evan Ingram, I mean, yeah, he probably needs to go. But I mean, they got Kyle Rudolph. So it's not a bad offense. It's just, I don't know what the Giants' identity is going to be without Saquon. That's the biggest question mark. If Saquon's gone, who's going to take on that leadership role on the offense?
And that's what worries me of hopefully, like, I love what we're hearing about Saquon getting brought back slowly, and I hope it sticks to that. But I'm also worried that whenever he gets on the field, they also understand that, and Saquon gets pressed way too much because they just don't have a backup that I'm confident in. So enough about the Giants. We did get to chat about them the other day as well, but I want to talk about one last situation before we get out of here. And I think this is something we'll try to do more often for everybody out there. So thank you for rocking with us. If you're here, make sure to like and subscribe, because we really don't schedule these. We just decide, 30, 40 minutes before if we're going to jump on it and have some chats and if it works out for us. So got to keep it fun. But I want to talk about what your feelings are with the Cardinals offense. So shout out to @Kelly in Phoenix. She is awesome. She actually got to go and check out training camp today. She lives down there. And every video she was posting, I'm seeing Rondale Moore get the ball in short area and 10 yards out and just making moves. So if we're seeing a Rondale Moore step into those Larry Fitzgerald targets, which, last year Larry didn't play, the whole season, but going just the year before that, I think he had 109 targets. If we're seeing a roughly just over 100 targets for Rondale Moore, what does that mean for this offense? Like, how much does this open up for DeAndre Hopkins? How much does this allow potentially, AJ Green as a really a third option, right? One-on-one coverage. He's older, yes, but if he's healthy, he definitely could probably make some plays if we're talking about one-on-one coverage against, a second tier cornerback. So what does Rondale Moore potentially do for this offense? Is he a guy that you guys are all in on? Are you still worried about Kirk or anybody else there with Rondale? Or are you all in on the Rondale Moore hype that is seeming to build back up all of a sudden?
Well, I've been all in on Rondale Moore since about 2018. So I don't know if I'm the person to really ask about this. I mean,
tell him.
Yeah, I mean, this was before I even met Ray. I think we were both having our own hype trains going parallel down the tracks together. But I mean, Rondale Moore's my guy. He's been it since his freshman year at Purdue. I think he really unlocks another part of the Arizona Cardinal offense and Kyler Murray that we haven't seen. I know Christian Kirk had a lot of hype and was supposed to be the guy to do all that, but Rondale's different. I mean, he's going to unlock Kyler. I honestly think Kyler's going to be QB1 overall at the end of the year this year.
Woo, tell him.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was nuts before his injury.
Yeah.
I think that really affected him more than the outsiders saw. So, I mean, their offense is, I think, going to be legit. And their defense is improving. I don't know. I mean, they're probably projected third out west right now.
Yeah.
probably.
I wouldn't be surprised if they win the division. I don't know. I might be higher than most, and so be it. But I really like what they're doing over there.
Yeah, even if we're just speaking fantasy wise, like they're about to go crazy. And word on the street this offseason, Kyler has been focused on how to stay out of trouble as far as hits go. You know, Arizona is all over that. That was an area of concern because he's not a big guy. He's extremely fast, but you don't want him out there taking a bunch of hits because he is so electric. He just makes that team go. But Rondale Moore feels like this year is Brandon Ayuk, like a guy that's going to step in right away, disrespected until the season starts. Like, yes, they go back to Devy leagues, like Rondale Moore, people are all over Rondale, and then all of a sudden, now you want to bring out, oh, well, no 5'7" receiver has done this, whatever. Like all of that narrative and bullshit comes out, and now we want to just bring the guy down when he went to a high tempo offense. Like, what are we doing? You're telling me Christian Kirk, AJ Green, like those guys are gonna not allow him to explode in a high tempo offense? That's crazy to me. Oh no, Kyler's too short to see over the line to see another short guy. Okay, like I've seen everything this offseason, but that's what Twitter does. That's what it does. It comes up with reasons for someone to not succeed until they blow up, right? Give that man 6 to 8 targets a year or a game. Oh my goodness. Like that is just crazy. And you don't have to let him go deep. Like DeAndre Hopkins is going to eat, and his targets might go down a little bit. They might stay the same. He's still going to have crazy targets, but I'll bet you he's going to be even more efficient, which is crazy to say about one of the best. But I think it truly makes everybody better because they're going to have to respect the hell out of Rondale in the middle of the field, and he's just going to create havoc out there, man. So this is a match made in heaven. I know Kingsbury was all over this one, all over getting Rondale, and seeing what I saw today was like, whew, like every play she posted, boom, Rondale Moore, boom, Rondale Moore, boom, Rondale Moore, boom, deep ball, nut, boom, Rondale Moore.
I gotta go look this up because I didn't see any of this today. I was so busy at work.
It was
yeah.
She just went out there, she just went out there fans to go for free. Go ahead.
Here's the thing that I see with that offense, and I think you guys have already kind of lit it up. Like I think like Hopkins, I actually kind of sort of in on AJ Green. I think he's still got enough in the tank that my biggest where I think Rondale will absolutely eat people alive is in those short crossers, right? Like, and I think what people are, it's funny because the thing that everybody wants to bash on Rondale because of his height, but they want to celebrate when the man squatted 600 pounds. Like it's one of those. It's really like the funniest thing in the world. Like right, like he's 5 foot whatever. He's shorter than me, but the man can literally squat 2 offensive linemen.
A house,
like
a whole house, a neighborhood.
We've watched the film and we've seen him just take on defenders and drag them. So if you give him that kind of if you get him in space on these short little sidearm throws that Kyler loves to throw, right? Those little short, quick, throw it out there and let Hopkins or AJ Green or Kirk go out and block in front of him these tunnel screens where he's just going to have to make one guy miss in the hole. Come on now. Again, I don't think he's going to be week in, week out this year. He's going to be a little volatile. It's going to be hard to kind of gauge which weeks to start him, which weeks not to. I think he's going to probably be a little bit more best ball this year than he would be a consistent starter on your fantasy squad. But to think that he's just going to be a guy that is like Tavon Austin gadgety, I think you're just far I think he is an upgrade from that. Mm-hmm. If somebody was to say to me, hey, Rondale Moore ends up being the wide receiver 2 out of this entire rookie class in production this year, would it surprise any of us?
No.
You know, that. And I think that's what we all have yes, Smitty. I know Ray is all in on Devonta Smith. Some of us have Bateman love. I know JB, you got some serious Bateman fever, right? We've got guys that we really love. Yeah. But the reality is after Jamar Chase who we all anticipate to be the wide receiver one of this rookie class, there's going to be a lot there's a lot of people jockeying for that wide receiver 2 production in this class. I don't think it's going to be a very clear, like, this is how everything is good. Like, this is how they were drafted. Therefore, this is how the production is going to be. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of good games from Rondale Moore. We're going to see some games where he doesn't do much in the game, but schematically for Cliff, he's going to make linebackers have to creep up closer to the line, and that ultimately is going to do even more damage because of how deadly accurate Kyler Murray is.
I think I have to disagree with one part. I don't think he's just a best ball guy. I think with what we're seeing and his skill set, and as long as AJ Green is healthy on that other side, right? I think that is my biggest piece. If AJ Green is healthy, which I think there's going to be a lot better chance for him to stay healthy and him not being the focal point, I hope that's the case, right? But I think Rondale maybe right out of the gates has a 60-yard floor to each week with the potential to blow up. Because if you're talking about getting this guy, let's say 4 catches a game, I think that's completely in the realm. I think it's going to be higher than that. But give him 4 catches a game, hey, I see no reason for him not to be able to get those 15 yards, those per catch. So I really feel like we're looking at a guy with roughly 60-yard floor with, obviously every single catch he has the ball. He has the ability to break it open. So we'll see what happens. But I think that there's going to be a lot more consistency from Rondale Moore than people think. It might be harder to guess those big games for sure this year. But as the season goes on, hopefully we see that change a little bit. But do you think is that out there? That's crazy. How are you guys feeling on that? JB, 60 yards sound crazy to you as a floor?
Doesn't sound crazy. I don't know. I had Rondale as, at one point in time, I had him as my wide receiver 2 for this class. I don't know why I really backed off. I think it was just more fatigue than anything. But even going into rookie draft season, he was my wide receiver 3. I still had him ahead of Waddle and Bateman. That might be biased, whatever, but the landing spot obviously helped. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're going to throw a lot. Who knows what they're going to do with running back? I mean, can Connor and or Edmonds stay healthy? So they might be throwing close to 40 times a game. And Brandon, you had mentioned that he's going to do a lot of that crossing route over the middle. His best game in college, the game was against the Ohio State, and the play was a swing pass to the left where he caught the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, made 2 guys miss, ran over another guy, and took off. So you just need to get him the ball. I don't care where it is. Like Ray said right here, just get the ball in his hands with some carries. Just give him the ball and let him work.
Yeah, you add in those 3 to 5 carries as well. I mean, I think 60 yards is an easy floor. I definitely feel good about this, and this is a high-powered offense. So let's get it.
I think when you're looking at stats, right? Just my last point here on this. Kyler threw it 558 times last year, so you're probably guessing. Here comes somebody wants to jump in real fast here. I see him trying to jump in. He's coming. So while you get him the link, I'll give you my stats and why I think you might actually be a little bit better. You might be closer to being right. 558 passes. If we're going over 17 games, we're probably getting closer to 600. Larry Fitzgerald just retired. That's 72 targets that are now being vacated. So we're talking about a potential another 100 to 115 targets being added to this offense. Just keeping that number in mind. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins had 160 targets last year. Yeah. Between Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake, they had 100 targets. That's crazy. So, and then you had Christian Kirk had 80. Right? So if we're saying that we're saying in this offense, could Rondale Moore see what? We're saying 5-6 targets a week. So we're saying what, 85, 90 targets? I'm throwing that there. I'm leaving that piece of information.
Add in that low side 3 carries a game as well.
Okay. So another so we're talking potentially What?
I said just
55,
over 100, over 100 touches. Just over 100 touches.
Well, I'm going to say this. What do we put the over under? I'll put the over under at 75 total touches for the year. Because remember, we're saying targets is 85. He's not going to catch them all.
Yo,
we bringing Ray off the COVID list.
COVID Ray.
I need it in on the convo, man. I need it in
Oh man,
on the convo. Y'all are killing it. Y'all are killing it, man. I think one of the things that you got to realize too, man, is a player like Moore, like Cliff knew what he was getting in Rondale, right? And in that offense, and I think JB made the point, we don't know what Edmonds is going to do. We don't really know what James Conner is going to do. I think Rondale, he's just dynamic, man. So whether it's, getting the 60-yard floor, I mean, if you over 17 games, that's over 1,000 yards. I don't know if he's a 1,000-yard receiver out the gate, but I also don't think he needs to be that, man. Think Robert Woods. And I forgot, I think it was Sigmund Bloom, or it may have been Scott Barrett, who talked about Robert Woods having those 30 carries per season, something like that, like just the amount of fantasy points those carries add. And I think Rondale Moore I don't even think it's a thought. He's way more dynamic of a rusher than Robert Woods was. And I love Superman Woods out of USC, but I love this conversation around Moore. And I even saw a quote today from AJ Green where he knew going into Arizona, he wasn't going to be the number one or probably even the number two, and he was okay with that. So I just wanted to jump in, crash the party. Hey, at least you can't get COVID through the computer screen.
No.
I'm getting off the feed. Y'all handle your thing, but I had to step in. And real quick. It's not, and Brandon, you said this, it's not about me stumping for Devonta Smith. It's the situations, y'all. Like, here's my thing, and I'm gonna talk about this with the patrons later and on a Destination Debbie show. Deciphering this camp news, like I had this conversation with Josh Larkey from Player Profiler the other day. Consistent buzz is what's important. Like, not just the highlight catches, right? But consistent buzz from all the beat reporters. When that dude is first up in every wide receiver drill, he's the number one target for Jalen Hurts. When you consistently hear the same thing from everybody, that's what you have to buy into. Like, I'm still seeing people say, oh, look at Devonta Smith's legs. They're so skinny. Who gives a shit? Like, who cares at this point? Skinny legs or not, he's a lock for 100+ targets minimum, barring health. Right now, listen, y'all keep doing y'all thing. I gotta calm it down. The COVID is starting to pop up, but I love what y'all are doing. I'm out. Y'all do your thing, man. Thank you.
Take care, Ray. Take care, man.
Much love.
All right. Yeah, but I think he brings up a great point as far as we actually talked about this on the show just a couple of days ago, Brandon. Like, when you start to hear the consistent beat of the drum, that's the one you're all in on, right? So let people, you hope if you're hearing that and you're following all these different beat writers and you're getting that consistent message, hey, you got to hope that the rest of your league mates are paying attention to that one outlier that's like, so-and-so's got skinny legs, so-and-so's too short, so-and-so has no chance to beat out the 33-year-old veteran, blah, 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 right? Because that's what allows and creates the value for you to improve on your team. And that's the name of this game. That is the name of Dynasty football. You got to go find the value. It's really the name of redraft. I mean, I did the same thing last year with Scott Fishbowl. I punted wide receiver, which was scary as hell. I punted till the 10th round, started with Michael Gallup, and then loaded up with a bunch of rookies that, I was hearing good things about. And luckily, a couple broke out with Higgins and Ayuk, but you have to do that with your teams, with every single team. You got to pay attention. You got to sort through this information and chat it up with people you trust, because it's going to help you come up with different things. I think our conversations that we have in our group with Ray and with Jay Rich as well in this group, like, we talk about this stuff constantly, and we don't just agree with each other all the time. We argue this stuff. We go back and forth on this stuff until we can sift through this information and make ourselves better and smarter, really. Like, we are making ourselves smarter through effort because we're getting more information. We're not going to be perfect, but we're able to make much more educated guesses that are going to be probably a lot more accurate than just seeing one video or hearing about one test or seeing one picture. Like, that's the difference, right?
Yep. I mean, look at Elijah Moore today. First pass from Zach Wilson. Who was it to? 40-yard bomb, right, to Elijah Moore. But yet the other day he was on the second team.
That's it. One tweet.
Like that's all. Like that's all it took. You got a small buy win. Like these small windows are gonna pop up all off season long, and you just have to decipher: is it a window I want to go buy into, or is it a window that I want to get that I need to move off of a piece that I have that window is attached to? Right? You got it. You like, and it's a game of chess, right? Like it's not like Ray just popped in, talked about Devonta Smith. You know, people are gonna knock him for this. Okay, well, but look at the other drumbeat pieces. So it's like, okay, well, if you wanna look at the comments, I can't. So go buy Denzel Mims? Sure, why not? Depends on what the cost is. If the cost is a dart in the third round in 2022, why not? Why not? Because if he gets on the field and he's like, we've talked about the Jets. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent.
He dropped the third team today. That was the report. Denzel Mims like, down to the third team.
And it's funny because I went and looked back at a DLF stream and I ranked freaking Denzel Mims at the top over Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. So yeah, you know what? Go buy Denzel Mims. Like I'll triple down on that one because the reality is somebody in that offense is going to get hurt. And if Mims steps up and has an opportunity to show what he can do with Zach Wilson, with a competent quarterback, yes, $12 fob. Good job, Mike. You know, if we've got like the reality is if Denzel Mims has one game where he goes nuclear for like 8, 110, and 2 touchdowns, all of a sudden your third round pick just got you value.
He said 8, 110, and 2 touchdowns.
Let's
go.
Like if you get one of the, but you know what I'm talking about. You get one of those
tripling down.
Like I'm going to triple down because the reality is like that offense has the potential to have one. He can have 1 or 2 good games in a row, and then all of a sudden now your third round pick just turned into a 2020 second, or maybe even a late 2021 first or 2022 first.
Kirkland brand chips, Daniel. Kirkland brand.
That's not even Kirkland. You get no, you get those crusty stale chips from Aldi's. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like they like taste like cardboard. But these are the kind of little things right here where it's like take advantage of those little value points, right? Yeah. Take advantage of the buys and the sells and know where to like. Don't get emotional in trading them. But just know what you got, know what you own, and know what drum beats to follow and which ones to say, yeah, it's time for me to get off that guy before it gets bad, before you get into a N'Keal Harry situation where you invested a first-round pick in a guy and you're trying to sell him for sunken value at like a bag of Doritos that are stale.
You're talking about like the Dorito taco shells. Like you can't get those fresh.
Yeah, no like the walking taco ones, those nasty ones.
Hey, so if you guys took nothing away from this show, yes, we said it. Denzel Mims, wide receiver 1 overall, confirmed. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that one. Hey, JB,
JB, free. You can't get your money back.
Yeah, you can't get your money back. It's gone. JB, you wanna end with anything? Anything you're working on right now? Any shout outs? Any last words there?
I guess the only shout out I have is shout out to Mike and Adam from our Heisman group, starting their own Patreon and podcast, all that. So if you're out there, go support them. They're 2 smart players. So shout out to them.
Mike, drop that link in the chat.
Heck yeah, throw it on there, man.
Can see it. Drop it in there. Let's get it in. That. Come on.
JB, man, I am so happy to have you on. This is the second show, man, in like 2 weeks for you now. Now you have officially done a live show. You've officially done a recorded Elite Seekers episode. JB is on the come up, man. It is awesome, man. I think people are going to really get to know you have just a great mind for sports, a great mind for really exploring different things and bringing different points of view to the table. I am thankful that I've been getting to know you more and more, and I look forward to many more shows, man. So thank you so much, JB, for jumping on, man. It's been a pleasure. BGC, B, anything to take us out, my guy?
Just subscribe to the Elite Seekers Pod. Ben drops some of the craziest knowledge. This man's working day and night, grinding in the smoke in Canada, trying to give y'all the best quality he can. Sub his YouTube page. Like he said, we're gonna do more of these. We're gonna have more fun. These aren't scripted. Literally, I asked Ben, I go, so what 10 topics we gonna talk about? He goes, we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah,
because that's just, and we even said we were gonna stop at 9:00. That didn't happen. So because you just have fun with it, and that's what this is. This fantasy football is for fun. Yeah, like this is for fun. Like we're just having fun talking about the same stuff that we would watch, and we're just having fun doing it. That's what it is. We're just having fun. We're having some conversations, spitting some takes. Some of them are good. Some of them we're gonna look back on and laugh. But we're just having a good time. Like none of us are gonna walk away like with any hard feelings. Like, hey,
that's this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be something that we go out there and we get a little bit better. So I think as much as we have fun, we're gonna put things out there after we do research. We're gonna talk about things because we talk about them all the time in our private chats, because we do a lot of research for you guys. So Brandon, man, me and you've been chatting it up like crazy since I believe the last week of January now. Started with the Top Shot World. I got connected with you and man, I'm just thankful that you've been able to jump on some of these shows as well, man. We obviously were able to start and build some of that chemistry with NFT Block Gang, where we're going to continue to build as there's more news and as the NFT sports world continues to grow. But damn, you've been busy in that department as well. So we got a lot of knowledge for the world. I'm excited. Make sure you guys go follow JB, go follow Brandon here. And these guys are big time up and comers, and they do not have enough followers to interact with. You guys will not regret it. They're just great people first and great football minds afterwards. So thank you guys for both jumping on the show. You guys can catch me at the Ben Eby. We're going to continue to pump out stuff every single Friday. Elite Seeker is going to focus on the youngins there, the underclassmen, the high schoolers. We might even get into middle school one day. Who knows? But I got you there, and we will continue to randomly have these pop-up shows where we feel like just chatting with no scripts, because that's fun. So thank you so much for everybody that dropped by. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we will catch you sooner than later. Elite Seekers out.